And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again, and today is the first of 11 videos I'm going to be releasing over the next few weeks, each of which is going to cover a specific DC event. Now I created this list of DC events in this reading order, initially at least, as a byproduct of creating my Superman reading order, which I'm actually releasing simultaneously and interspersed with these videos. Now, to create that reading guide, I had to read the 1,677 comic issues that comprise the entire shared Superman continuity from 1991 to 2011. Yes, 20 years of comics. And that included the essential spin offs, tie ins, and as we'll see here, events that were necessary to use that knowledge to build the internet's most detailed reading maps for DC events. Now, unlike the Superman reading guide, which takes the form of a Google sheet that I've split into 14 different tabs or eras, for DC events, I generally make infographic style maps that are really useful visual guides, but I only make that where it is warranted. Now, each event gets its own map, and these can be viewed for free on my website. The playlist you're on now about DC events will contain every DC event video in chronological order, taking it up to 11 videos in total, at least at first. If you're interested in the Superman guide as well, but you're not watching the Superman playlist, don't worry, that YouTube playlist also contains these videos. If you're only interested in the DC events, then just stay here and just watch the DC events. As this is the first DC event video I'm doing, I'm going to add a little bit of context. This series of event videos came about because it wasn't initially planned as something that was an outgrowth of my Superman reading. This series is currently made specifically to cover those events that I need to talk about in order to provide a comprehensive reading guide to Superman. That means that if there's a major DC event that doesn't intersect with the ongoing Superman weekly series at the time, then I'm not including it in this DC event guide of videos, at least not right now. That means that there's no Batman Nightfall, for example, and there's no Final Crisis, to give just two examples. At least not yet. Secondly, it's worth noting that I do have a separate DC annual events playlist you should check out if you're interested in those. The playlist here is for universe-wide events intersecting with Superman. Annual events are something quite different. Watch those videos to get what I mean. Thirdly, I always stress that I only read as far back as the 90s. I find 80s comics far too retro for my tastes. Therefore, as I essentially don't do comics about videos I haven't read, I won't be doing videos on the DC events that predate this one. If you start a Crisis on Infinite Earths, I'm not doing a video on that. That was in 1985. In 1986, we had Legends. I'm not doing a video on Legends. The DC event after that was in 1988, Millennium. Not doing a video on that. In the same year, there's a DC event called Invasion. I'm not doing a video on that. To be honest, the earliest comics that I personally own are around the Death of Superman era. So for my Superman reading guide, I took the unprecedented step of going back a bit further to the launch issue of Man of Steel. But to be honest, this was a bit odd for me. My Batman reading starts around issue 500 with Nightfall. My Wonder Woman reading starts around issue 90. My Flash reading starts around issue 62. You get the picture. My comics reading starts in the early 90s. But for this reading guide, I pushed myself and went back a bit further, which brings me to War of the Gods. War of the Gods was a four-issue limited series published from September to December 1991. The series was written by Wonder Woman series writer and artist George Perez, a massive iconic landmark name in comics. Each issue of the titular series were double sides, and the storyline itself crossed over into the most mainstream titles published at the time. Now, although the title features many heroes that populate the greater DC universe, War of the Gods was heavily focused on Wonder Woman and supporting characters from her title, specifically all the Olympus gods. And the plot is essentially Wonder Woman's most sort of serious adversary, Circe, and her ambitious goal to kind of kill another goddess called Hecate. So it's a whole usual kind of event thing, remaking reality, revenge, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go through the reading order of the event now, but first things first, confession time. This event is one I didn't read. Much like the ones I just mentioned, Crisis, Legends, Millennium, Invasion. This is just a little bit too retro for me. Um, I don't own the issues. I don't want to track them down. I'm not going to read it. However, I did read one issue from this event when I was doing my Superman reading order. It was Man of Steel issue 3, branded War of the Gods. Now, I read that without even realizing it was part of an event. That's how standalone it was. But given the circumstances, I thought, why the hell not? I'm just going to mention this event and give you a bit of context on it. An interesting thing I found out after a lot of desk research is that actually this 26th issue event has a very controversial reading order. Lots of people debating what's the right way to read it, what's the right way to sort of go about it, and so on. And so what I've done is, after a lot of research and checking lots of things, I can unequivocally confirm the correct reading order is as follows. Let's start here. This is War of the Gods issue 1. Like I said, there is a titular 4-issue miniseries. Part 2, as you can see from the branding here, it says War of the Gods Part 2. That's Wonder Woman number 58. That's followed by the reason I'm doing this video at all, which is Superman Man of Steel number 3. As you see, the branding is at the top, but this is not noticeably tied into the event. This is the only issue in this event I've read, and it was a total standalone as far as I'm concerned. That's followed by Part 4, which is Hawkworld issue 15. That's followed by Part 5, which is Starman issue 38. Next is Legion, or Legion 91, I suppose, and it's issue 31 of that. Then we have Hawk and Dove, issue 28. This is the final issue of this ongoing series. Next is where it gets interesting. We have Captain Atom, issue 56. It's not branded as War of the Gods, and it has no event number, so it doesn't say War of the Gods Part 8, even though it should. Instead, it's marked with an ongoing story arc explicitly on the cover, which is Quantum Quest Part 3. So given this is War of the Gods Part 8, next should be, and is, War of the Gods Part 9, which is Doctor Fate 32. Following that, we have War of the Gods Part 10, which is Flash number 55. And subsequently, we have Wonder Woman 59, which is War of the Gods Part 11. Next is Part 12, Doctor Fate number 33. And we then actually have the main series, War of the Gods itself, issue 2. Again, it's not branded with numbering, but it is number 13. The next issue is Justice League Europe number 31. It's not branded and doesn't have an event number. In fact, it's marked as being Breakdowns Part 6, but it is War of the Gods Part 14. We can see that here in the next issue, which is Batman 470, and that's marked as War of the Gods Part 15. Next is Hawkworld issue 16. Ironically, that's also War of the Gods Part 16. Following that is Animal Man issue 40, which is branded as War of the Gods number 17. After that, we have Captain Atom again. This time it actually does have branding, thankfully, and that's War of the Gods Part 18, and it's also marked as the last part of the Quantum Quest, Part 4. Following that, we have Suicide Squad 58, which is branded War of the Gods 19. Pay close attention here because the next issue we need to look at is actually Wonder Woman number 60, and you'll see the branding there is identical to the previous branding as War of the Gods 19. That's written incorrectly. It should say War of the Gods 20, but all the covers were printed wrong. Not very helpful. Following that, we have War of the Gods number 20, part 21, which is War of the Gods number 3. Again, there's no numbering or branding on the covers. Following that is The Demon, issue number 17, and that's part 22 of this. Next up, we have New Titans, issue 81. As you can see, that's branded War of the Gods, part 23. And then subsequently, we have Wonder Woman 61, which is branded War of the Gods 24. The final mainline issue is War of the Gods number 4 from the miniseries itself. I will point out, I haven't read these. I don't know how many of these issues are relevant or essential. I don't know if you need anything else as well as the 4 main issues. I just don't know. All I'm going to say is Man of Steel number 3, War of the Gods Part 3 is utterly, you don't have to read any of this. It's utterly unrelated. That's fine. So with that out of the way, the last thing to mention is this issue, which is Wonder Woman number 62. This is an epilogue issue. It's not branded and it's not numbered. It doesn't say War of the Gods on it at all. However, it is kind of an epilogue issue, and this issue signifies Perez's departure from the series. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that was useful. This is the first event in my DC event series, but from next time, which will be in a couple of days if you're watching this in real time, is going to be the DC event 0 hour. And for that, I've read every single issue and I've prepared a painstakingly detailed free infographic reading map for that, which will be available on my website. And there we have it. In case you're interested in knowing where these resources are, so the guides, the maps, and so on, they're all available on my website. They're all available for free. You can go into the website, which is nogodsorkings.com, and download the Google Sheet for the Superman reading order, or you can go on the website and look at these reading maps for all the various DC events and a whole bunch of other things I've got on there to your heart's desire. If, however, you are interested in a written version of this guide, then it is available on Amazon. I've recently just self-published it. It is the cheapest possible tier you can get on Amazon. So it's 79 pence UK, 99 cents American, and so on. It's free if you're on Kindle Unlimited, and there is a free sample on the website as well. The reason I put this onto Amazon is kind of a proof of concept. I'm interested to see if people are interested in the written guides, whether or not people want to pick them up. And also, it's a good way for me to bat off all the people that are going to be in the comments asking for a Batman guide. If you want a Batman guide, I don't really particularly have any interest in doing one, but I will do one if this book gets 500 reviews. So if this book gets 500 5-star reviews, then I will start doing a Batman reading guide at some point. I don't think that's going to happen, but there we are. Of course, feel free to support the channel by picking this up. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe. But as always, the best way to support the channel is by picking up one of my other books, which isn't a non-fiction reading guide. It's actually a fictional, completely original superhero story. It's prose, so not a comic or words, but it's about superheroes in just a really interesting kind of post-apocalyptic dystopic idea. The first 4 books of the series are out, and if you want to support, please pick that up. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay classy.